You ever have that feeling? You spend hours studying for a test, you feel pretty good about it, and then the next day, it's like it all just vanished from your brain? It's so frustrating, right? But what if I told you it's not actually your fault? Today, we're going to look at some amazing learning hacks from Japanese students. I mean, these are students who manage to memorize thousands of complex characters and actually keep that knowledge for life.
Get ready for this. 70%. That is how much of the new stuff you learn today is probably going to be gone by tomorrow. Wild, right? Your brain is basically programmed to just delete information it thinks is unused. But what if you could hack that program? What if you could decide what sticks around?
So the villain in this story actually has a name. It's called the forgetting curve. Think of it as the silent thief that steals all the knowledge you work so hard to gain. But here's the thing, once you understand how it works, you can start to fight back.
Okay, so this curve basically proves that forgetting stuff isn't some personal weakness. It's just how our brains work. Memory drops off a cliff super fast at first, and then it kind of levels out. But here is the secret, the part nobody tells you. This whole curve can be hacked. You can break the cycle, and not by studying harder, but by studying way, way smarter.
And this right here is the biggest problem. So many of us get stuck in what you could call the passive study trap. Rereading your notes over and over, highlighting half the textbook. It feels like you're doing something, but to your brain, it's just background noise. The smart way, the way these students do it, is active. It's all about pulling information out and reinforcing it. That's how you build those really strong, lasting memories. So our first hack is something called active recall. And I want you to think of this as the samurai approach to memory. Instead of just letting information wash over you, you're actively sparring with it. You're challenging it. You're really testing what you know. And this is the absolute key. Memory isn't built by just shoving information in. It's built by pulling information out. It's like a workout for your brain. Every single time you struggle to remember a fact, you're not failing. You're actually doing a rep, making that mental pathway stronger for the next time. And the best part? It's ridiculously simple to do. After you've studied a chapter, just close the book, put it away. Then grab a totally blank piece of paper and just write down everything you can remember. It's gonna feel hard at first, for sure, but that feeling of struggle, that's exactly where the magic happens. That's real learning. All right, hack number 2 is the famous Kumon method. Now, instead of looking at a subject like it's some giant mountain you have to climb all at once, this Japanese technique is all about taking small but really powerful steps every single day. The whole point of this is to get to total mastery without the burnout. By focusing on these little bite-sized chunks every day, you slowly reinforce the ideas until they just become second nature. It's all about consistency over intensity. Now, if this sounds familiar, it should. It's the core idea behind the book Atomic Habits. Getting just 1% better each day doesn't really sound like a lot, does it? But those tiny little gains, they compound. And over time, they lead to absolutely mind-blowing results. This is how you build real, lifelong knowledge. Okay, on to our third hack, spaced repetition. I love this one. Think of it like being a gardener for your brain, right? You don't just water a plant one time and then walk away hoping it grows forever. You have to water it at just the right moments. With memory, timing is everything. So instead of cramming for 8 hours the night before an exam, you strategically review the information at the exact moment you're about to forget it. It's like you're catching the memory just before it falls off a cliff. And that simple act tells your brain, whoa, hey, this is important, don't throw this out. So what does that look like in the real world? Here's a super simple schedule you can follow. A quick review after 1 day, then again after 3 days, then a week later, and finally about a month later. Each review actually takes less time than the one before, but it strengthens that memory so much, pushing it from fragile short-term recall into solid long-term storage. So we've covered the core techniques, the how-to, but that's only part of the puzzle. Now we need to talk about the mindset behind real mastery. That's where hacks 4 and 5 come in. 2 Japanese principles called Kaizen and Shuhari that are all about deep focus. Let's start with number 4, Kaizen. This is all about small, continuous improvements. It is the literal opposite of pulling an all-nighter. By focusing on these tiny, consistent little steps every day, you build incredible momentum and make huge progress without all the stress and burnout. So how much time are we talking here? An hour a day? Half an hour? Nope. 6 minutes. That's it. Just 6 minutes a day.
Suddenly, the idea of daily improvement feels completely, totally doable, right? So what do you do in those 6 minutes? Let's break it down. 2 minutes for active recall, just pulling out what you remember. 2 minutes for spaced repetition on something you learned a few days ago. And 2 minutes of just focused practice. It's such a simple, powerful little routine that really adds up over time. And that brings us to our fifth and final hack, shuhari. This is all about getting into that state of deep, immersive focus. That flow state where you become one with what you're doing. And you get there by creating study rituals. And your ritual can be anything. It doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe it's just sitting at the same desk every time. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room. That's a big one. You could even use a specific pen or light the same candle before you start. The goal is to create a powerful trigger that just screams to your brain, okay, it's go time. Let's learn. So there you have it. 5 incredibly powerful hacks that can totally transform the way you learn. But, just knowing this stuff is only half the battle. The real change, the magic, it happens when you go from just watching something like this to actually doing something about it. I mean, think about it. The people who are really successful, the top 1%, they don't just consume information and then scroll to the next thing. They take action. They try this stuff out, they see what works for them, and they actually make it a part of their lives. So that leaves us with a choice. You can click away from this and go right back to the old way of doing things, that frustrating cycle of cramming and forgetting. Or you could start today. Pick just one of these hacks, maybe that 6-minute Kaizen routine. The question isn't whether these techniques work. We know they do. The only question is, will you use them?